This ancient tie-dyeing technique starts with tons of tiny knots, and it's part of a month-long process to make just one scarf. Indigenous Mayan weavers have been using these techniques for over 2,000 years, and in Guatemala, groups of women have banded together to preserve this part of their heritage after a decades-long civil war threatened their culture. We visited San Juan La Laguna to see how these groups are still standing. Normally, these weavers work in their own homes, but they came together to show us each step of their process. Dominga Isabel Coche Ujpan has been doing this since she was a little girl.
Difícil para mí ya no es. Sí, solo que se tarda en hacer.
It all starts with the raw cotton that grows right here in San Juan. Dominga picks out the seeds one by one. Then she flattens the cotton.
Tengo que golpearlo por 5 minutos para que así el hilo sale muy, pero muy fino.
Dominga uses a stick called the malacate to pull the cotton into a thread. It takes 4 days of spinning to make half a pound.
Tengo que girar por varias veces para que así a la hora de tejer el hilo no se rompe fácilmente.
Natural dyeing is another ancient technique they practice here. Dominga is straining boiled banana plant stalks to give the threads a lilac color. She dips them into the purple dye, and then washes them out before letting them hang to dry. All the dyes here come from nature. The weavers say some shades are even affected by the phases of the moon.
Cuando hay luna llena, nos da un color algo pálido, pero cuando no hay luna llena, es ahí cuando el añil da el color índigo negro.
Next, Dominga measures and counts the threads in a process called warping. It takes hours to layer all the strings onto the warp board. Dominga has to know exactly what she wants the final piece to look like, so she can sort the strings accordingly. This process is typically a woman's job. Weaving in general has been passed down from mother to daughter for centuries in indigenous communities. Dominga learned from her mother when she was just 12 years old. Mayan legend has it that women in ancient times learned to weave from the goddess Icho, who was often depicted with a backstrap loom. It's the same one these weavers work with today. And it's ideal for weavers like Maria Cristina Garcia Gonzalez, who needs to work at home while taking care of the kids.
Porque sin el tejido nosotros no podemos ganar un poco de dinero para darles un plato de comida día a día a nuestros hijos.
She can set it up almost anywhere. And the shape of the loom makes it easy for women to weave while pregnant.
Porque tenemos espacio libre para no lastimar al bebé. Siempre nosotros trabajamos aunque nosotros estamos embarazadas.
Cristina learned the craft from her mother-in-law right after getting married. She uses her body weight to control the tension of the loom.
Y uno se cansa porque se va para allá, el otro brazo para acá. Nosotros no vamos al gimnasio, sino que aquí hacemos nuestro ejercicio.
She takes inspiration for her designs from nature and how she's feeling.
En tiempos ahora que está lloviendo, sacamos otros colores diferentes. Cuando uno está feliz, saca los colores muy brillantes. Y cuando uno está triste, sacan los colores oscuros.
Woven textiles carry a deep symbolism for Mayan people throughout Guatemala. But wearing this traditional clothing became dangerous during the 36-year civil war between government military forces and leftist rebel groups. The conflict is now considered a genocide. 200,000 Guatemalans were killed, and most of them were indigenous. Women were victims of sexual violence and lost their fathers and husbands in the fight. The war ended in 1996, but many indigenous women still face discrimination today.
siempre nos humillan, nos dicen que solo son mujeres, no pueden llegar en alto.
Weaving became a way for them to show strength. Women across the country came together to form groups, just like this one in San Juan.
Porque hay muchas mujeres juaneras que pueden hacer el trabajo, y trabajo maravilloso que hasta otras no pueden hacer.
Today, it's rare to see younger men in traditional dress, but women here wear it as a symbol of pride and to honor their ancestors.
Ellos lucharon para que nuestro origen no se muriera, para que nuestro origen no se terminara. Es por eso que nosotras, como mujeres juaneras, andamos luchando diariamente a sacar esos principios y no dejar a los abuelos olvidados.
It's not just women in the fight. Jonathan Abinoel Perez Mendoza works with the Weavers Group too.
Normalmente aquí los hombres casi no hacen esto. Normalmente se dice que solo es para mujeres, pero yo me encargo más de hacer esto y me gusta porque es más creatividad en todo lo que hacemos.
Jonathan's specialty is jaspe, an ancient technique only a handful of weavers in this group know how to do. He starts by separating white threads into groups.
Aquí es la separación. Pongo 3, pongo otros 3 y otros 3 por acá.
Then, he secures the strings between two pillars.
Voy para allá.
He needs about 10 feet of space for this part.
Okay.
Little by little, he begins tying knots to form a design. It's a lot like tie-dyeing. The threads underneath the knots will resist the dye, while the exposed parts will absorb it.
Digamos que se tiñe en negro. Esto sale todo negro. Ahora lo que está aquí adentro es lo que sale en blanco y es lo que forman las figuras.
Today, he's making Guatemala's national bird.
Aquí se nos va formando el quetzalito. Aquí está su colita, su cola. Esta es su ala.
Jonathan spends up to 5 hours just tying. And that can be tough on the hands.
Normalmente cuando uno es principiante, esto le sacan pollas acá. Y a mí no siento porque ya tengo la mano muy dura.
When the threads are dyed, the tied parts stay completely white. Then, other women in the group weave Jonathan's dyed jaspe threads into shawls like this one, which sell for 500 quetzales or $65 each.
Hay unas personas que dicen, o los turistas que dicen, muy caro, dice. No saben ellos lo difícil que es hacer uno de estos.
Tourists are their main customers, but many are looking for a bargain, so it's hard for weavers to get a fair price for their work. And sometimes they have to sell it for cheap to locals who resell it.
Estamos buscando cómo vender nuestro producto. Si nosotros tejemos y no hay nadie quien nos compra, el producto se queda ahí y poco a poco se va disminuyendo nuestro producto, ya no podemos venderla.
That's why they partnered with Trama Textiles in 2016. The organization buys products from over 400 weavers across Guatemala and sells them online to people around the world.
Ese trabajo no podemos hacer nosotros. Lo que nosotros podemos hacer solo es tejer, pero publicar y hacer por línea nuestro producto no podemos.
And the weavers can name their price. Instead of selling a scarf for $10 to middlemen, they can get $16 from Trama. But the organization is still hurting from the pandemic, and sales have been low. Trama can't buy any more products from Cristina's group until it sells off its current stock. And Cristina says it's been 3 months without a sale. To make ends meet, she's been working as a housekeeper. Still, Cristina is determined to make a name for the weavers of San Juan.
Nuestra meta de nosotros y nuestro futuro que queremos llegar es que se venda nuestro producto, que se anuncien allá en otros países de que San Juan La Laguna hay mujeres tejedoras, porque de ese trabajo nosotros estamos enseñando a los hijos, a los nietos, a los bisnietos de que sí, podemos llegar en alto y poner el nombre de nuestro municipio en alto. Trabajo terminado. Sí.